Hello, Brenton with All Out Octane here, and in this video I'm going to open up some Hot Wheel cars from this brown paper bag. Yeah, so my wife and I went to an antique store and they had some diecast cars that I bought, and they just put them in a random bag, a random paper bag. So there is one car in a package in here, but the rest are loose. So what is the first thing that I'm going to pull out? It is a Range Rover with the British livery. So it's really cool to add this to the collection. I love Range Rovers, and it's in a proper British deco. So it's nice to kind of add this to the collection. You can see it's got Land Rover on there. It's got the red and white and blue, kind of like the British flag. So I'm not going to open this one just yet. I do have this outside of a package. I do have this loose somewhere else. But it's just nice to have it in the package, and I guess it just kind of pop in the blister anyway. But this is just a cool casting. So that was one thing that I got. The rest are all loose. First up is this Mazda. So this is a Matchbox Mazda, and I'm not really entirely sure which year this would be, but this thing, it's a wide body RX7, and it was really cool. So I couldn't pass it up. And this is kind of towards the decade, like grew up in the 90s, so I believe this is more in like the early 90s, late 80s, potentially. And it's an awesome casting. Like I said, couldn't pass it up. And I might be doing some customs. I'm not really good with the bodywork, but I know I can repaint these things. So I might repaint and put some new wheels on it. That I might do. So would you guys like to see me do that? Would you guys like some customs on the channel? All right, next up is a Mitsubishi Raider. So I was really excited to find this. I'm not entirely sure which Tampo scheme this is coming from, or exactly like what it's from. Matchbox wise, it is a Matchbox, I know that. But I was super excited to find this because Lamley kind of did a, what did I say? A Triton, right? Yeah. Raider. I thought it was a Raider. I guess it's a Triton. I thought for sure it was in the United States as a Raider. But anyway, Lamley did a showcase on this casting, and he has the gray one, or I believe one of Lamley's partners. But I was really excited to find this for $1 at an antique shop in this green, so I picked it up. It was one of the castings I was wanting to try to find. Not exactly the color, but I'll take it, right? All right, so next up we have this Hot Wheel, and it is old school. It's a black wall. It has seen better days. I do believe this is a Ford Thunderbird, potentially. This might even be a Ford product. It might be a Chevy or an Oldsmobile or Buick. It's really kind of hard to tell. I used to know my cars quite well. I'm not entirely sure. Actually, this looks more like a Chevy product. But I, again, thought of customs, so I picked it up because it really needs some help, and it looks pretty easy. It's got one rivet, it needs some tires, and it needs to be painted. And maybe these kind of cars in real life are going to have a comeback. Who knows? You never do know. All right, what's next? Aha! A Parks and Livery Baja Matchbox. So I don't really collect the Parks and Livery, but I just thought it was cool, and for $1, why not, right? Like, Parks and Livery. Well, I guess it's National Parks Livery. There we go. I keep thinking Parks and Rec. That's a show. But the Parks Livery in a Baja truck. Pretty freaking cool. All right, let's go to the next one. All right, a Matchbox. So I did pick up quite a number of Matchbox. These are probably 80s-ish based on the bases. And this is a Ford Escort RS 2000. And doesn't have a hitch. Again, it's in need of a little bit of help, but nothing a little bit of paint can't do. So I could just kind of redo the rivets and paint it up and clean it up. And this thing will be ready for a showcase. But it's a hot hatch kind of car, and I just couldn't pass it up. So there's actually kind of a reoccurring theme. You'll see that here. I picked up another one. This one's a Hot Wheels one. I believe it's going to be kind of the same thing. And I haven't done my research on this casting yet either, but it's just another hot hatch cool car from the 80s that I had to have. So again, probably more customs, and I'm pretty excited about that. All right, so this is kind of like the creme de la creme. This was what got me started in buying the rest of the car. So this is a Saab 9000 Turbo from Matchbox. It's got the 1987 date. So this one, if you probably saw, I paid $7 for it. This was probably the most expensive car I bought. Everything else was $1. But this one has an opening door on both sides, and it's done quite well. It's got some chips here and there, but overall it's a really nicely done casting. It's in really good condition, and it's better than paying like the $10 to $15 or more on eBay for a carded one, when I can get it for half the price, have it loose, and it has a little bit of love to it. What Saab at this point does not have a little bit of love to it? So there's the rear. This thing is really cool. So my brother-in-law has a Saab and in real life, and now I have a diecast one. That's priorities, right? I tend to collect the diecast. I really wish I had a real life car, but then I couldn't do videos for you guys because I'd spend all my money on a real life car. So this one surprised me. I wasn't quite sure what I picked up. I thought it might have been a Jaguar. It's not. It's an Aston Martin. This thing is a Matchbox Aston Martin from the 90s. So, Aston Martin DB7. I was like, oh, it's in British Racing Green, but it's all beat up. This thing has seen better days. New wheels, green paint, and this thing will look awesome. I'll clean up the windshield, maybe make the tan interior a little more tan, and this will be back on the road. I feel like Wheeler Dealers in some regard. There's a lot of British cars in here. All right, next up, we've got a BMW M1. Look at that, with an opening hood. And this is a Matchbox again. Look at this. I didn't even know they made these things. So for $1, I mean, you can't really go wrong with that. It's going to be Matchbox, Lisney. Look at this thing. Super cool. These are the kind of castings that really fascinate me because, again, I was born in the late 80s, early 90s, and, well, I was born in the late 80s, 88, and so these castings were cars that I would have seen but just didn't really get because, you know, I was a kid. But then we've got this. I think this is another Ford. Yep. Ford Mondeo. So this is going to be the Australian version, I believe. Monaco McLaren, I think you can correct me on that one. But yeah, this is a really cool car. And the livery and the tampos are kind of meh, but hey, it's cool. And then the last one, and this one, I'm sorry, it's a little beat up for the last car on this video, but not quite sure what happened here. It's a little out of sorts, but it's another Matchbox. It's a Ford, I believe. Yep, Ford Sierra. I believe it says that. Yep, Ford Sierra. So a bunch of non-American vehicles is what I purchased here. And it was super fun, yet like the antique shop is obviously here in the United States, but it's amazing that I picked up a bunch of kind of Australian, European, Japanese type vehicles. Which one was your favorite? Let me know in the comments below. Have you seen any of these castings? Do you want me to do any customs of these castings? Yeah, let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and until the next one, have a good one.